Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer. You know, I recently bought a tank for my two fish, but neither of them knows how to drive it. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 6-plus player games of all time. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at my top 10 6-plus player games of all time. Just a word on what I'm talking about here. There's a lot of great games out there that play up to 6 players, but in order to make the list, I had to have actually played it with 6 players. And I played, various player counts, but I had to play them at least with 6 at one point. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, I do have a few honorable mentions. First of all, Sidereal Confluence. Sidereal Confluence is a great game of negotiation and kind of capitalism in outer space. You have these converters that turn some resources into other resources, but you need to do those things for points, but you can't naturally get the resources you need, so you need to trade for them, and you need to convert stuff in order to trade stuff. It's great fun, but my only problem is there's a really high learning curve there, so it never got to my table. I ended up giving that one away, but a great game. Mission Red Planet. This is a great game of kind of simultaneous, you all flip over your cards, and then depending on the card order you get to go, but you're colonizing Mars and Phobos and Deimos, its moons, it's area control, there's different areas there. Another fun game. And then also Project Elite, which is it's kind of a dudes on a map game, but it's monsters, and it is frantic because you're all rolling die, and you've got like a 2-minute timer. You're rolling die, and depending on the die rolls, you may kill a monster, or the monster may advance along a track. So it's a frantic game, but it's a great game. Really like that one. That's from Cool Mini or Not. Sidereal Confluence was Whiz Kids, and Mission Red Planet was Fantasy Flight. But now we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about my top 10 6-plus games. Number 10 is kind of a party game. It is a party game. This is Cash and Guns from Repos Productions. Cash and Guns is a great game where you're thieves. You just came out of a heist, and now you're back at the apartment trying to decide how you're going to divide up the loot. And you 1, 2, 3, you point a gun at somebody. And there are these little styrofoam guns, and people have to decide, okay, whether you can have their loot or not, and if not, you have to see, do they have a bullet in their gun or not. It's a great bluffing game, double bluffing game. It's a game I didn't think I'd like. I thought it was too silly, but I ended up really enjoying it. And all my friends that I played with have really enjoyed it. Now, that is one party game. We may see a couple others here, but generally, they're more board games. But anyway, that is Cash and Guns. That is from Repos Productions, and that is my number 10. My number 9 is a reprint. It was a game that came out in the 70s, and it was just reprinted in 2019. This is Dune. This is Gale Force 9 reprinted that 70s Dune. And this is a game where you're different factions in Dune. You're the Atreides, or the Harkonnen, or the Guild, or the Bene Gesserit, or the Fremen, or the Emperor, and you all have your own objectives, but critically you're trying to control key areas on Dune. There's also a sandstorm that can come and kill your dudes, but you've got this combat. Well, what's really cool here is this trader mechanic where you have a trader card from somebody else, from another player, and if you go to battle, you assign a leader, and if that leader matches your trader card, you can play that, and even if you're totally outmatched, you can still win totally by playing that card. It is a great system. I actually played that. Last time I played it, I was able to do that. Somebody comes at me, and I played they were mad, but it was so much fun. But this is a great theme, great IP, game that's been around with us for a while, and there's newer variations on it, but it's still a whole lot of fun. That is Dune 2019. That was from Gale Force 9. My number 8 is a game that came out a few years ago, and it is one of these great games because everybody's invested throughout the game. Even when it's not your turn, you're really paying attention to what's going on. And this is Space from AEG. Space is a die rolling game. It's kind of like Machikaro, but you're rolling die, and then depending on what you roll, everybody potentially can gain something from that die roll. You're buying cards, and you're flipping cards upside down. When the cards get flipped upside down on somebody else's roll, it can trigger the card, and you can get riches. When you roll the die, it's just the main card where you've got it, but if we flip it over, you get something when somebody else rolls. So it's a really cool system. You're getting points, you're getting gold, you're kind of getting your infrastructure for your planets, and you're building those things up. It's the first one, I think, to 40 points wins, but it is hilarious, and it's so much fun when people are rolling die and they don't roll what you need and you're mad at them. This is a game, every time you play, you laugh. It's a good, solid everybody on board game. Really like it a lot. But this is Space Base. That is my number 8 from AEG. My number 7 is, I think this was the first Hidden Trader game. I'm not sure, but I think it was. But this is, my number 7 is Shadows over Camelot from Days of Wonder. Shadows over Camelot is this great game where you are all Knights of the Round Table, and you, on your turn, you have to take a good action and an evil action. And, you know, your good actions, you can solve puzzles and go to different places. Your bad actions are you add catapults in front of Camelot, you know, or you lay down these evil colored swords, or you lose health. But you have to do these evil actions. And every time somebody takes an evil action, oh, you're the traitor, you're the traitor, you're the traitor, because one of you is secretly working against everybody else. Not always. Sometimes in some games there isn't a hidden traitor. But it's so much fun because it's a game where just the accusations fly, but it's a fun, solid game that unfortunately we don't hear that much of these days. I'd like to see this game back in print. I don't think it has been for a while. Tremendously fun game. That is Shadows over Camelot from Days of Wonder. That is my number 7. My number 6 is a game that there's different iterations of it, but they're all 1 to 6 players. And it's because there's 6 characters, and if you play solo, you got to play all 6. But it's most fun, I think, with 6 because there's negotiation there. And it's tense and it's scary, but it's action-packed. And this is Zombicide. I'm not going to single out any particular one because I love them all. I'm probably playing Night of the Living Dead and 2nd Edition right now the most. But they're all really fun games where you are in a zombie apocalypse. You are attempting to kill all these zombies coming at you, and as you kill them, you level up. You gain more experiences, you get more abilities, more actions, you're getting more cards. But as you level up, the zombies level up, and more zombies come out. So even as you get more powerful, the zombies become more powerful. But you're trying to fulfill certain mission objectives and not get killed. Super fun game, great looking minis. This is a game I've been playing different iterations now for about 10 years. And I always have a good time with Zombicide. I love it playing solo, but it's much more fun with people, and it's the most fun with 6 people. So that is Zombicide. That is from Come On, and that is my number 6. My number 5 is a party game. It is a social deduction game. It's probably my favorite straight social deduction game. In fact, I was contemplating putting the Resistance on this list, but it kind of killed the Resistance for me. See that video. But this is Secret Hitler. Secret Hitler is tremendous fun. One of you is secretly Hitler, and there are some secret fascists, and everybody else is liberals, and you're trying to pass good laws, but the fascists are trying to pass evil laws. And you don't know who's voting for what. And essentially, every round, the president picks some laws, he gives them to the chancellor, and the chancellor selects the law. But you don't know, did the president give the chancellor 2 bad laws, or in which case he had no choice, or did he, manipulate it so that he got a bad law, or did the chancellor pick the bad law? And accusations fly. This game is tremendously fun. If you love social deduction games, as far as a straight social deduction without a board game element, this is the best one in my opinion. Terribly fun. I actually was working on my PhD. I took a foreign policy class, and one night I was giving the presentation that night, and I was able to convince the professor to let us play Secret Hitler. We had a blast. Secret Hitler is a fantastic game. That is my number 5. My number 4 is a game that it was sent to me. I was asked if I wanted to review it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll review it. But I had no real interest. I didn't think it looked that great, but I went ahead and I played it, and blew me away. This is Captain Sonar. Captain Sonar is great. It's like Team Battleship, but you're submarine crews. You've got a captain, a radio operator, a first officer, and an engineer. And you each have your own jobs, but you're essentially going through the ocean trying to target your enemy while not getting hit yourself. But you can only go so far before you have to surface. It's so much fun. I love this game so much because this is a game where everybody's yelling, they're tense, they're exciting, but it's one of those games where you're and I love playing the captain. That's my favorite role. But you're the captain. You say, okay, you say, turn to your engineer. Where are they? Okay, they're there. All right, first officer. What do we got? We got green lights. Engineer. What do we got? Yeah, we're good on engineering. Okay, fire at this level. And then you're thinking, do we hit him? Do we hit him? And they're like, yeah, you hit us. Like, ah! It's so good. I love this game so much. It's a board game that feels like a party game experience. It is tense. This is one of the most tense games I've played, but it's so much fun. But this is Captain Sonar from Madagascar Asmodee. That is my number 4. My number 3 is a board game with a social deduction element. And I'll tell you right now, you can probably guess what my top 3 games are if you know anything about the channel, because they're probably my top 3 games. In fact, with Captain Sonar 4, these are probably my top 4 games of all time. So that just tells you I have a bias toward games with lots of players. So my number 3 is a social deduction game that, well, it's a board game with social deduction in it that obviously is one of my favorites of all time. This is Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica, the board game, is phenomenal. If you love the TV show, this is the game in a box. In fact, I say this is the most thematic board game I've ever played, because the way I feel playing this game is the way I felt when I watched the TV show. It just paranoia, stress, you don't know what's happening. Some of my absolute best board game experiences came from playing this game over the last 10 years or so. I have really loved it. I played it with multiple groups. Occasionally you'll find someone that doesn't get that into it, but most people love it. And a lot of people who never saw the TV show really loved it. It's tremendous fun. You're on the Battlestar Galactica. You're moving the ship. You're constantly being attacked by Cylons, but at the same time you are also secretly contributing cards to overcome crises. But that hidden traitor, that Cylon on board the ship, they can put in cards that act as negatives, that hurt you, that hinder you. Tremendous fun. Fantasy Flight recently came out with Unfathomable, which is kind of a reskin, and in a lot of ways it's a little more streamlined, and I've got them both, but it's kind of set in the Cthulhu universe. I like that one a lot too, but I really love Battlestar Galactica, largely because of the theme. Fantastic game. I can't see myself ever giving it up, and unfortunately it is out of print. That's why they did Unfathomable, which also was a great game. If you can't get Battlestar, get Unfathomable. But that is Battlestar Galactica. That is my number 3. That is from Fantasy Flight Games. My number 2 also is from Fantasy Flight Games. This is also another grand space adventure, but this is Twilight Imperium 4th edition. When I play this game, in fact, I played the 3rd edition once with 4 players. I think I played that one with 4 players, and it worked. I liked it, but to get the full experience, I think you need all 6. And I played this game I think 4th edition I've just played with 6. 3rd edition I played with 4. But anyway, with 6, it just hums, it just sings. It is a grand space adventure. This is, when you think of reading a great science fiction novel about galactic empires, this is that in board game form. You know, you each have fleets, you activate systems to move fleets or to produce units. You know, it's 4X with the expansion, because you go to planets. There's different things you can find and help you in different ways. But you've got these great space battles. You're all going toward the center of the board to try to take Mechatol Rex. It feels very much like a Eurotrash game from the 80s in a lot of ways. But then it's also got these kind of great Euro kind of Uber mechanics too, with the strategy cards, where everybody, you get a strategy card, you can do the main action, but everybody has an opportunity to do the secondary action. So everybody's invested, again, even when it's not your turn. It's a great game. I really enjoy it. This is, for a long time, the 3rd edition was my favorite game. Then my 4th edition was my favorite game of all time. Such a great immersive experience. It's a long game. You know, you plan on 6 to 8 hours to play this game, but it is such a great experience. I love it, love it, love it so much. But that is Twilight Imperium 4th edition from Fantasy Flight Games, my number 2. And finally, my favorite, my number 1 game of all time for 6 players, as you can guess, is my number 1 game of all time, period. This is War Room. War Room it's from the designer of Axis and Allies, and this is the game you always wanted Axis and Allies to be. You've got various units on the board, which is a big circular map, and you can actually, it's a huge map, you can push stuff with staves, and you got the different units that you're moving along. You engage in combat, but what's cool here is you actually bid for turn order, and turn order to read your orders, because you all write down your orders and then you read your orders first, and then you just put where all the battles are, and then you one by one resolve all the battles on the board. This is, it almost has the way you do your orders, it's kind of reminiscent somewhat of diplomacy, but it's so well done here, and you have to bid oil to see who goes first, and which sucks because you need the oil to power your war machine, but sometimes you need to go first, right? So it's a very, very good game, a very interesting game, and like I say, it's the game you always wanted Axis and Allies to be. If you're a World War II fan, if you love war games, kind of light war games, but still have some meat to them, you'll love this one. Again, this is another longer game, another 6 to 8 hour game, but man, it's worth it. Every game of this I've played, I've had so much fun. So that is War Room. That is from Nightingale Games. That is my #1 game. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. Please, please, please tell me, what do you think? Do you like these games on my list? Do you think I should get rid of some of them? Are there games you'd put on there? I'm always eager to hear what you have to say. Please check us out on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, and please check out my other channel, Cody Carlson, PhD, where we look at military history, books on history, fun things like that. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I joke a lot on the channel, but you know, to stay out of hot water when brewing a pun, it's best to use subtlety.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I've been dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
Do it! Make it so.
All right.